right, welcome back to day 3 of our little songwriting marathon here. I think so far we've done 8 songs in 3 hours, and we're going to try to do another few here. We'll see if we can get through the entire thing today, but hopefully you've got your PDF and you are ready to work on this thing. This is all of our links to all this stuff here. If you want to go to learnpianolive.com/songwriting, you can download the PDF for this and follow along with us and have that for all of your future songwriting endeavors. So to let you know where we're going here, first we're going to create a Insta-pop song here really quickly. We're just going to write a song by filling in some blanks, and this is something that literally anyone can do. Anyone 7 or older can write a song with this form. And then song number 2, we're going to go into all of the different details about what types of things you can change in your song to give it a different feel. So that's the time, the key, the time, the tempo, the feel of the song, the form, length. I'll give you some form examples from popular songs. And by the way, thanks again for all of your suggestions about how to improve this thing. And keep those suggestions coming. Each day, this PDF has been a little bit different. So that's all thanks to you. Chord substitutions, some best practices for songwriting for chords, and then bass movements and how you can put other chords on top of different root movements in the bottom. And then this melody, writing the melody on top of the chords that you have just put together and created. Then we'll talk about rhythms and chord tones, how to use the best notes, and then how to connect all of those notes. And then my least favorite topic, how to add the lyrics in. If you are the type of person who wants to add lyrics in, you probably already have your own ideas about what you'd like to write, but I'll give you some of the best practices based on people who care very much about it. So advice I've gotten from others and not from me. And then song number 3, I'm just going to try to do all of that in real time because it'll probably take us about an hour and a half to get through all of that. And then I'll just show you what it looks like to just actually just run through all those things and write a song really quickly that sounds, hopefully, halfway decent. And we'll be about 4 songs deep into it by then. So let's get started at the very beginning. Couple notes here. I've said this each day, but make sure that if you are the type of person who is afraid of this seems really intimidating, I don't know how to write a song, I don't know what to write about, all that stuff, then just don't worry about it. I've got all of the correct answers for you. You'll be able to make some decisions and come up with a song that sounds great. I promise. And if you're super excited about this, which you probably are, especially if you're not watching this live, but you're watching this in the archives, then this is probably something you are looking at on purpose because you think this sounds really exciting and you've got great ideas and you're super creative and you want to make the world's best song ever. Then you are going to be the ones who are probably going to have the most difficult time with this stuff at the beginning, because a lot of writing a great song has to do with not being overly creative, just putting one little snippet, one little hook in there that is your song, that's special about your song, and letting the rest of that predictable, normal song kind of support that one little thing that you've put in there. So most people who are starting out and are super excited about this, but just put way too much effort and creativity into it and try to make the best song their first time around. And usually the best idea is just to try to get used to all the rules of songwriting and write a normal song so you can see how that all works before you go messing with all of the rules. So then a couple things. I referenced this one before, but if you want to go to that link or just click on it, hopefully you've got your PDF open, then you can watch a video that just has 4 chords and it shows you some, like a couple hundred of the songs that use that particular chord progression. And then I would add on to that you could do that with almost any 4 chords. So a lot of hits can be written with just a few number of chords. You don't need much to write a great song. You'll probably write a song that already exists. Don't worry about it. Everybody does that. You'll be singing something that shows, wow, this thing that I wrote is really awesome. This is the most creative melody I've ever heard. And then you go to sing it for someone or play it for someone. They're like, oh yeah, and then they'll name some current hit. And you're like, oh, it is. I wrote a song that already exists. So anyway, so that subconscious accidental song stealing happens all the time. Don't worry about it. And just keep in mind, too, that the more predictable a song is, the more your audience is going to be able to go with you on this journey so that you're hopefully creating for them. Imagine yourself writing a story. And so then if you can, you've got some princess, and then she finds some trouble that she needs to be rescued from, and what's going to happen next? Well, we all know what's going to happen next, and that's what makes it a more compelling story. Is we all have this anticipation, and then some little twist of fate that you didn't expect. That's what makes the story interesting, not that it's just a novel, a collection of random words, or a story with like characters that come and go and you like nothing makes any sense. No one wants to watch that. No one wants to read that book. No one wants to listen to that song. So the majority of this stuff is going to be just making sure that the vast majority of your notes are predictable. Your audience kind of feels like they know what's going to come next. And as you play what they thought was going to come next, then they feel like they're going along with you on this journey. And that way, when you make that one little twist that they weren't expecting, they go, oh, that's kind of nice. Instead of, yeah, it's just like the rest of the song. I can't follow this thing at all. So that all is the lead up to this, which you don't need any really information for this one at all. You just need to be able to pick one of these four options. You've got 1s, 4s, 5s, and 6s as your options here, and we're going to do that 6 times. We also need to pick whether we want this to be a happy-sounding song or a sad-sounding song. And other than that, that's it. So if you want it to be a happy song, you'd pick a 1. If you want it to be a sad song, you'd pick a 6. So for right now, I'm going to pick a sad-sounding song. So I'm going to put a 6 right there. And then if you want a 1 or a 4 or a 5 or a 6, you can just go ahead and select that one and write it right below that. Or if you don't know, because I don't know what's the right chord. Is it going to sound good? What's it going to sound like? I don't know. Then you can go to that page I told you about before. Just go down here, and this is the simple chord picker. You just press it, and that is going to select the chords for you. Okay, it's a 6 chord. There you go. So I'm going to put a 6 in right there. The next one, a 1, a 4, a 5, or a 6. And the spinner says it's going to be a 5 chord. You don't have to know what this is going to sound like ahead of time. That's the whole point. If you could know what it was going to sound like ahead of time, then you wouldn't need this workshop. You would just write out all the songs that you already hear in your head or something. The next one, it's going to be a 5. Cool. So we've got a 6, a 5, and a 5. We've got to do this 3 more times for the options that are down there below. I'm just going to spin this thing 3 times in a row and hopefully remember it better than yesterday. We've got a 1, and then we've got a 1. Not this again. And then we've got a, finally, cool, 6. So we've got a 1, and a 6. And after that, you just follow the arrows to put all those chords in all those spots. So that 6 is going to come down here, and then going to come down here, and then it's going to come down here, and then it's going to come down here. Hopefully you can see that. Yes, you can. And then we're going to put that 6 also over there, because that big diagonal line that goes across that whole screen. And then just follow the rest of the directions. That 1 in the orange boxes comes down there. That 1 comes down there. And then we got a couple more boxes to fill in here. We got a 6, a 5, and a 5, and then a 6, and then a 5, and bam, your song is written. So let me, if you give me just a second here, I can put these chords into my band software here. Now, the chords that you actually just selected are all of these if we're in the key of C. It'll change if we're in different keys. You don't have to worry about any of that right now. If you're playing piano, if you're sitting at a piano, then you probably can already play all of these chords. Let me show you real quick which chords these are going to be. So if we go here, this note right here is a C, and you can always find a C by taking any group of 2 black notes and then just dragging the bottom note down, and you'll land on a C, which, as you can see, we have labeled 1. And then that would make that a 2, and that a 3, and that a 4, and that a 5, and that a 6. So that's all you're going to play, is just when it says 1, you're going to play a 1. When it says 4, you're going to play a 4. When it says 5, and then when it says 6, you're not even going to play the 2 or the 3, because those weren't options, or the 7. And then if you want to make this thing even more complex, instead of just playing the 1, you could play the 1 and then every other note after that. So like that. And you got 3 notes, then you got a nice little triad there, and that's the 1 chord. So there you go. That's the 1 chord, and then the 4 chord would be the same thing, just built on the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then every other note. And that's a 4 chord, or an F chord. That would be a 5 chord. And that'd be a 6 chord. and then you are already playing chords. Congratulations. So then give me just 1 second here, and I'm going to, I'll be right back. I'm going to set the band up, and then we'll be playing your song, hopefully in about 30 seconds. And just like that, I believe we are ready to go here. So the band is going to be playing all these chords. We're going to repeat the chorus. Down here we've got these 2 double dots. That just means you're going to go back to the previous double dots, which you'll find right there, and play all that section again that are between those double dots. That's the repeat sign. And then at the very end, we're going to play a 6th chord here. I'll try to call out these sections as we go through them, and we're going to start on that 6th chord, and that's going to be our introduction, and then we'll be into the verse 4 measures later. Here we go. So here's our 6th chord. And here's our verse. That's our 1 chord. 6th chord. Here's the 3rd line. 5 chord, and here's our chorus. There you go. There's your song, picked entirely by a spinner and this form. So if you just run through all that again, make different selections, and you'll have an entirely different song that will sound probably just about as good as that, which could be, you know, any, I don't know, Katy Perry song or something. So that is probably the safest way to create a popular song right there. You got your intro, you got your verse, you got your chorus, you got 2 choruses at the end, you got an ending chord, bam, that's it. And the rest is all decided for you. Now, of course, if you want to make some decisions on your own and change it up a little bit, then we are on to random songs. So this is still going to be, you don't have to have any prior knowledge, but I'm going to explain to you what each of the different parts of the song kind of do. So this is where we're going to eventually come back and write our song. But for right now, we're going to go past all of that to all the details. So the first thing you need to do is pick a key. This other one was in the key of C, of course, which meant that C was the 1, and it followed this pattern of all white notes. That's why we started with it, because it's probably the easiest thing on piano to do, is just you stay away from the black notes and you're safe. You got all the right notes there. But some of the other keys, like if we want to play in the key of D, then D, this note right here would be the most important note. It'd be number 1, and our pattern would have a couple black notes in there. So those are all the notes for the key of D. So if you wanted a 1 chord in the key of D, you'd play every other note starting on D, staying in the key of D, or in the pattern of D. So it'd be that one, not that one, but that one, not that one, but that one. That would be our 1 chord in the key of D. And then you could follow the pattern there. That pattern is right there. So our 1 chord would be that note and that note and that note. So every other note starting on the 1. So then you can still play all the same numbers. You can play the exact same song in the key of D if you just follow that pattern. So let's actually try that. Let's play the same exact song that we played before, but now we're going to be playing in the key of D. So that's going to be our 1 chord. That's going to be our 6 chord. That's going to be our 4 chord. And that'll be our 5 chord. In the key of D, same exact thing. Here we go. And here's our intro. That's the 6 chord and the 5 chord. And now here's a verse. 6 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 6 chord, 6 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord to the 5. And here's our chorus. 6. There's our 5. And then it would repeat that chorus there. So you can see it pretty much sounds like the exact same song. You're just using different notes for it. So there's lots of different reasons that you would use different keys, but for right now, all you need to know is that that's kind of all it does, is it changes the set of notes that you're using, but it doesn't really change the feel of the song at all. So C's just as good as any other key to write in for now. I think I'm going to stand by that. Then we also have the time signature thing. So the time signature is just how many pulses happen before something important happens. So in that other one we had, in that song we just played, we had 4 pulses before like a chord change, for example. So each of those sections where we had the chords written in, each of those was 4 pulses long. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, change chords, 2, 3, 4, change chords, 2, 3, 4. In a 3/4 song, you're just going to do important things on beat 1, but you're only going to have 3 beats, 3 pulses per what we call a measure or per section. So we'd have something like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then in 6, we would have, it's kind of like 2 sets of 3, except the second set of 3 kind of leads up to the beat 1. So that's kind of just like the pre-1 thing. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1. So you can see like there's a whole like a whole set of 3 that kind of just builds up to that important thing that's going to happen on beat 1. But it's kind of like 2 sets of 3, but not really, because each of the different sets of 3 plays a different role. Okay, so hopefully that made some sense. And then tempo, this is just how fast it is. These are the same numbers that you'll see on any metronome, and they're all standard because it is in beats per minute. So as long as the size of a minute doesn't change, then putting, for example, 60 beats in a minute would be 1 beat per second, because there's 60 seconds in a minute. Okay, cool. So then 120 would just be 2 beats every second. Yeah, this second thing is messing with me because we really don't deal with seconds. We just deal with these numbers here. So 120 BPM is 120 beats per minute, which technically is 2 beats per second, but we're not going to worry about the second part. We're just going to know that's kind of what those mean, and that's why those numbers are going to be standard throughout all metronomes from here until forever, unless the size of a minute changes. And then some astrophysicist is going to email me about, no, there's no astrophysicist watching this lesson. So yeah, I will get no emails then. So then we've got picking any tempo that you want. The slower the song, the more potential it has for sadness, and the faster, the more potential it has for happiness in general. I think I can go with that pretty safely. Okay. So then the safest things I've put asterisks next to. So 120 is like kind of a standard, but anywhere from like 80 to 120-ish is going to be like just a regular old song. 4/4 time is probably the most common, not probably, definitely, by far, the most common time signature. And then C major has that asterisk on that one because C major is going to be the most common key for pianists to feel comfortable in. There we go. And I'm assuming that you're a pianist. Then picking a feel. So this is whether the in between the pulses, whether there's going to be an emphasis like split perfectly between the two pulses or whether it's going to favor one pulse over the other. So let me show you what that means. We just talked about counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But the truth is there's other stuff that happens in the middle of that for most players. Like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and... So there's other stuff that happens that can happen in between the beats. So these are going to have two dramatically different feels, even though they are just slightly different. So if the and is perfectly spaced between the 1 and the 2, that's called straight. That's going to be the majority of the music that you listen to. And then swung is just going to be where the distance between the 1 and the and is longer, slightly longer than the distance between the and the 2. So it's really and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So that's going to be swung versus straight. And 1 and 2 and 3 and swung. 1 and 2. So the swung feel is associated a lot with jazz because of swing and stuff, but it's also like a lot of country music is going to be swung, and then I'm going to leave it at that for now. Folk-ish type music, a lot more of that can be swung. Although, I mean, you'll find like some Imagine Dragons songs or something like that they're swung as well. So it's not limited to just that, but it has a distinctly different feel, more perhaps relaxed. That's straight versus swung. You'll need to pick one of those. And then we've got all the different sections of the song. So if we want like an intro, that's just something you're going to play before the words start. Some songs have intros. Most songs have some, at least short, type of intro. In the song that we wrote together, at the very top, the intro was just exactly the same chords. You can see we took those exact same chords and we just dropped them right into the chorus. So we took the first line of the chorus and we made that our intro. I cheated by making you write the intro first and then dropping that into the chorus. But the truth is, it was just the chorus that we put up as the intro. So it's a lot of times it's just stolen from the first line or the last line of the verse or the chorus. So the intro, something you would play before the rest of the song begins. Now, a verse is like probably the very first thing that you're going to play is like just some. This is where you're going to like put when we get to the lyrics, where you're going to put like the problems of the song that the chorus is going to resolve, or where you put the questions that the chorus has the answers to. It's some setup to the chorus. So all this stuff. All this music, this songwriting stuff is all about just creating tension and then resolving it, and then creating tension and then resolving it, and then creating tension and then resolving it, right? So that's all we're doing, creating tension and resolving it. So your verse is your opportunity for you to create that tension that finally, hopefully, is going to get resolved somewhere in the chorus. Now, you have the option of putting in a pre-chorus here, which is something that's different from the verse, distinctly different from the verse, but it's not quite the chorus yet. It's not really the resolution yet. In a lot of cases, it just builds up more tension. So do you want to have that additional tension created by adding in a pre-chorus? And then we have the chorus, which we already talked about. That's the answer to the verse. And you should at least have a verse and a chorus in all of your songs. That's kind of you have something and then you have something else in your song. And even like the simplest of songs, the song Hallelujah, just basically has two parts to it, and he just keeps going for the first part to the second part. For the first part, he's got the verse, and then the Hallelujah, 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 then another verse, and then it's even the simplest of forms at least have usually two sections to it, something and then something else. And then the bridge is usually going to be used in the cases where you want to sing a chorus repeatedly, but it's just too many times for your listeners to stay interested. So you'll play a couple choruses in a row, and then you'll do a bridge, which is just something else entirely new, and then you would go back to your chorus in most cases. And then an interlude is basically a bridge where there's no words being sung. It's the opportunity for a piano solo or a guitar solo, or just a way to perhaps cleanse the palate is what I put on the sheet. It is like after a chorus, if you're going back into a verse and the chorus was all like big and fun and happy, and now you're going back into another verse where it's another problem that you're creating that you're going to resolve later in the chorus. So your interlude is just a way to like get from the chorus, a little transition into, all right, now we're in the verse again, now we're creating more problems. So that's your interlude. And then it's some type of ending. You have to stop playing at some point. So just stopping is what we would use right here. That would be a cut. You just pick a chord, you're going to play at the end, we're going to play an A minor, bam, end of the song. That's what we did on the song that we wrote earlier. We just said, all right, here's our last chord, play the A minor, and then you're done. But you can also like write in a part if you wanted to have something special happen at the end of your song. The words are all over. People are just listening to the music now before the music ends. So then that would be an outro. And in a lot of cases, I would say the vast majority of cases that I've seen, the outro is just either like the first line of the chorus or the first line of the verse or something like that. Or in a lot of cases, it's just whatever you used for your intro, use that exact same thing for your outro, because the intro is usually going to be something a little bit softer. You go into a problem, which is your verse, and then you resolve it in your chorus, and everybody's happy, and then you go into another problem, and then you go into another solution, and everybody's happy in your chorus, and everything's great. And then at the very end, that like nice little piece of music that you used at the top of your song, then you're going to use that at the end of your song to give some final resolution to it. So that's your outro. Your option for outro. And then this other one that I don't like at all, which I think is just lazy, is you just pick some section of the song and then you just repeat it over and over, and then you fade out, which is hard to do live if you're actually the one playing it, but easier to do like on recordings and stuff where you don't have a good outro. Like, I don't know how this song is going to end, so we're just going to play it 5 times and then ask the producer at the end of the recording to just fade out our repetition. So you'll hear that a lot more on recordings than you actually will in a live concert. Usually they find some kind of ending, some kind of outro for the song when you go to the concert. So then we just pick the sizes of the sections that we decided to use: the intro, the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, the interlude, the bridge, and the outro for whatever of those you want to use. And then we just got to pick the form. How do we want to introduce these? So what I've done here is I is for intro, V is for verse. A verse is required again. The pre-chorus is going to be P. The C is going to be chorus. And then the N is going to be interlude. The B is going to be bridge, which you could also use an interlude right there. And then at the end, you have to pick one of these, either an outro, a fade, or just a cut, an end. That should be a C right there, cut for the ending. So then C doesn't work because, of course, yeah, that's why I put the E there. So you just got to put all of those in the right order, however you want the order to be. Or if you don't know what order you want, I have listed a few here. I'm hoping to add a lot to this list, but this is just some of the most popular songs. I've got a much longer list, like I said, but I haven't been able to get to all of them. So this is not necessarily the list of artists that I'm a huge fan of, but some of the more popular songs. So you can see in most of these, they are going to, this is, so obviously the artist, what their song is. Hopefully you've heard of some of these songs before, and then just what order they used on theirs. So you can see in most of them, they're doing some version of intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, end. So that's going to be probably the most common theme among all of these. So we've got intro, verse, well, actually, I'm going to just highlight the parts that are different. So in this case, In unanswered prayers, you'll notice he adds another verse before he goes into the first chorus. And then he uses a little interlude to get back into the verse, does a bridge and chorus. So he uses an interlude and a second verse before he goes into the first chorus. This one is pretty much what we would expect. Again, an interlude to get into the verse. This is intro, verse, chorus, interlude, verse, chorus, chorus, chorus. Oh, that's all Garth Brooks. Okay, so then we get on to Katy Perry. Intro, verse, chorus, interlude, chorus, chorus, ending. So that's exactly what we would expect perfectly. Then we've got intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, chorus. This one's interesting because we've got two choruses in a row there and two choruses in a row right there again. So that one's slightly different because she repeated the chorus right there. But other than that, it's exactly what we'd expect. ABA, this is just like if you think of the A section as the verse and the B section as the chorus. This is just going verse, verse, chorus, verse. Usually we call it like AABA, that means that they are smaller sections than we would normally see for a full verse or chorus. So blues is kind of like a plug and play format, like what I gave you at the top of with the very first song that we wrote together. So blues just means it's a preset form. They're not even really selecting anything. The only thing that makes it unique is the inflection they give it, the lyrics that they use, and the notes that they play on top of the chords. But the chords aren't unique at all. And then this is again intro, interlude right here. And then verse, chorus, interlude, chorus, all the stuff we would expect. So you can see that there's a lot of repetition here among these songs. And these were just the first ones that popped up on YouTube when I put in the artist name. So I wasn't selecting these for this exercise. I was just going, all right, what is most listened to on the internet? And then went through and pulled out all of the forms of those. So this is that thing that I was talking about before, the AB form for that Hallelujah song. Okay, so then it's time for us to try one of these. So again, if you are having difficulty with picking these things, then right here, we can pick a key. This is, again, at learnpianolive.com/songwriting. So we'd be in the key of G. We would use the time signature of 4/4, but of course, we would pick a tempo that would be 75 beats per minute, and that's going to be a straight feel instead of swung. And then we pick the sizes of our intros and all of that stuff. So we're going to have a 2-bar intro. We're going to have, actually, let's first insert the other stuff that we just decided on. So we're going to be in the key of G. Yeah, there we go. In the key of G in 4/4 at 75 beats per minute. It's going to be a straight feel. So let's go back up to this song up here where we're going to try to write this stuff out. We're in the key of G. It's going to be 75 beats per minute. It's going to be straight, and I think that's all that we've selected so far. Oh, and all right, so we started to talk about the intro size. So the intro size is going to be 2 bars. So here I'm going to cross out those bars right there and make this our intro right there. Then the size of our verse is going to be, don't be 16. Come on, really? Do you not understand time constraints? Okay, so verse is going to be 16 bars, which means all of that is going to be our verse. Yikes, a Rooney. All right, so then next we've got our pre-chorus size. And this decides that we're not going to have a pre-chorus. We're going to just go straight into our chorus. And the chorus is going to be 12 bars long. So right here, this is going to be the chorus. Then we come back to here. And the bridge, if we have one, is going to be 4 bars long. So we'll have our bridge right here. 4 bars of bridge. And then our outro type is going to be, no, you picked fade last time. You stink, computer. All right, so then we're going to fade at the end. I'm going to use the chorus as the thing that we play over and over, and we fade at the end. Okay, man. All right, well, at least it fits on one page. That's good. That's better than some of the songs that is selected for me. So then we need to pick the chords for this thing. And just like we did before, you could pick them randomly as long as you pick not the 7 chord. I think that's the only one that we're going to say probably stay away from that one until you got some experience under your belt. But here are all the chords for all the different keys. The ones that we're going to be using are the key of G. So all of these chords right here, those are the ones from the key of G. We're not going to be using the 7 chord. And let's get to this. We've got a 1 chord right here, a 2 chord, a 3 chord, a 4 chord, a 5 chord, and a 6 chord, and we've got a ton of chords to pick. So let's get that spinner working. We need 2 for the intro. So the intro is going to be a 5 and then a 6. Nice. Okay, cool. That'll be interesting. So we're going to have a 5 chord right here to a 6 chord. Then we're going to go back here. We need 16 of these. Now, yesterday, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Yesterday, we did the thing where I just picked all random chords. Today, I'm going to use a little more experience and just say whatever we have on that first section of it, these chords right here are all going to come down here. And we're just for the sake of repetition. In fact, I'm going to repeat the first 4 chords 3 times in a row and then pick random chords for the last line. There's nothing magical about that except that, again, predictability is a huge part of writing a good song. So we're going to have 4 random chords, and they're going to feel random, but by the time we go through it a second time, our listeners are going to feel like, okay, yeah, I've heard this before. By the time we do it the 3rd time, they're going to feel like, maybe I could sing along to this thing, and then we're going to have a random 4th line to get us into the chorus. So let's try that. So we need 4 chords. It's going to be a 5 chord to a 2 chord to a 3 chord. Uh-oh, I already forgot the first one. 4, 3, 2, 5. I think that's what it said. So 4, 3, 2, 5. 4, 3, 2, 5. 4, 3, 2, 5, and then we'll do something else for the last 4. So I was a little bit distracted because I want to make sure I point out here, you don't have to use these spinners. These are just for those of you who feel like you're too indecisive to make a decision here. I don't know what the chords are going to sound like. What's it going to sound like? Is it going to be good? Am I making the right decisions? Am I making the wrong decisions? A lot of the questions that I hear frequently from people who haven't done this before. So this is your way of not being responsible for how this thing sounds. You just got to play whatever the computer tells you to play. So we're going to use a 4 chord and then a 4 chord and then a 2 chord. 4, 4, 2, 3. So 4, 4, 2, 3. Now time for our chorus. Here we go. We're going to do 4, 5, 6, 4. 4, 5, 6, 4. And this time, just for time constraints, I'm going to use those here. 4, 5, 6, 4. And I'll pick randomly for the last ones here. The places that I'm deciding to repeat here are not important. Just that there is some repetition so that the audience knows what to expect. They can kind of predict what's coming up. So we got a 3 to a 5 to a 5. Don't be a 5. To a 2. 3, 5, 5, 2. 3, 5, 5, 2. And then we got our bridge, which is going to be 4 chords. It's going to be a 3 to a 4. Go 5, 6. 4. 3, 4, 4, 5. Cool. 3, 4, 4, 5. And then the order that we're going to use for this is going to be intro, verse, chorus. I'm going to go intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, ending. So again, in general, at least 2 verses is good. More than 3 is a little bit gluttonous. So 2 or 3 verses is usually pretty safe, unless you are Leonard Cohen and you're writing Hallelujah and you've got 13 great verses for your song. And even then, I'm going to press the next button on Pandora by verse 4. So even if it's amazing, I just don't want to hear that much from you. Sorry. So then we're going to go, the order of this is going to be intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and then fade at the end. Intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, fade. Because remember, the point of the bridge, again, is kind of to allow you to put in more choruses. At least that's the way it's very commonly used. So that's all of those. I think, do we have everything that we need to play this song? Did we just write yeah, okay. Yes, we do. That's it. Let's try this thing. Again, give me just a second here. I will change the key to the key of G. I'll get the band ready, and I'll be back with you momentarily. All right, I think we're about ready to go on this thing. It ended up being about 86 bars long by the time we went through all the intro and the verse and the chorus and all that stuff. And then, of course, we have the fading at the end, which is, I'm not a big fan of that, but I'll just reach over and I guess fade all that out. And I'll try to call out the stuff as I go. And it looks like it is still rendering. It's almost done. My band's got to get their stuff together. So then just to run through these here real quick. The 5 chord is going to be a D because we're in the key of G. The 6 is going to be an E minor. The 4 is going to be a C. 3 is going to be a B minor. 2 is going to be an A minor. Then the 5 is going to be a D again. And really, we've got this entire song with no 1 chord in it. So we're in the key of G, but we're not actually going to play a G for the whole entire thing. Let's see how that works out. I wouldn't recommend it. Ready, and... the first verse. Our bridge. And here's our chorus. Chorus again. This is where it would fade. So kind of interesting because there's no one chord at all anywhere in there, which, like I said, is super duper weird. But it sounded like a weird, interesting song, but I don't think sounded much more terrible than some of the stuff I've heard on the radio. So great job, Spinners. Computer, way to write an awesome song. So then you've got all of that stuff, and then we get into the tweaking of stuff. There's some parts of that song that I really, really didn't care for, like the end of the chorus, the 3 to the 5 to the 5 to the 2. That just didn't work for me at all. And so that's where we'd start using some common chord substitutions. So like for that 3 that I don't like, I could throw in a 1 or a 5 or a 1 over 3, which would be like the 1 chord here. But instead of playing the name of the chord, I would play 2 notes up, which would be the 3. If that's the 1, that's the 3. So that'd be the 1 over 3, which would be another option instead of the 3. Or I could just straight up play a 5 chord instead of the 3. Or I could play a 1 chord instead of the 3 chord. So here's some common substitution options for you if you run into a chord that you just really don't care for. And then for those super duper creative types, then these are some other ones that don't work nearly as often but are really kind of out there. So it's like taking a 5 chord but making it minor instead of a 1 chord. We don't even have a 1 chord in this song to show you what that would sound like, but we do have a 3 chord. And we could use a major 3 instead of a 3. We do have some 5 chords, which we could use a minor 5 instead of a 5. Man, these are all scary in this super, super weird song. I'm going to go ahead and try a minor 4 here for one of the 2s, or a minor 4 for one of the 4s. So we'll go up and find a 2 or a 4. I don't know what this is going to sound like ahead of time, so I'm not picking these on purpose. But let's try this one right here. So instead of playing a 2, we're going to play a minor 4. Just straight up substitute that chord in there. So that would make that line, instead of 3, 5, 5, 2. It would make it 3, 5, 5. That's worse, I think. I don't know. Maybe if I listen back to it, it wouldn't sound as bad. So not all those substitutions are going to work all the time, but they do work sometimes. And when they do work, they are exquisite. But it's kind of tough to cram in there. But those are some special substitutions that will it's a lot of flavor. It's a really strong spice. So don't use too many of those, or else your songs are just going to end up sounding weird. And then here's some other ways to tweak the song that I didn't mess with at all. I just let the spinner do this stuff, even if I saw it was breaking some or a lot of these rules. In general, your chord popularity order is going to be 1. That's the safest chord. 7, it was so unpopular, I didn't even let you use it. I didn't even put it on your spinner because the 7 chord just sounds so weird. There aren't very many situations where that's going to sound like a great choice. So then the second most safe chord option is going to be the 5 chord, and they just all go in order. The 2s and the 3s are the hardest to fit in, and we've got a lot of 3s in this song, which is part of what I didn't really like about it. But so it's the next to worst chord to pick for popularity's sake. But I let it stand anyway. The ending chord popularity, so what the last chord is going to be. This doesn't apply to fades, obviously, because your ending chord is a whole series of chords. But if you're going to have an outro or an ending, then you probably, again, don't want to pick this 7 chord to end on. But there's a little bit of difference in the order of things. For example, generally, 5 chords are really great, but you don't want to end on them. They are the third to worst chord to end on. So the 1s and the 4s and the 6s are the safest place to end the song. And I'm going to say like 99.5% of the songs are just going to end on a 1. So it's almost like not even a choice. If your song starts on a 6, then you've got a better shot at ending on a 6. But 1 chords, 4 chords, those are pretty much the ones you want to use. If you're on a 3, the safest place to move from a 3 is to go to a 6. If you're on a 6, the most popular, the easiest move to predict is going to be going to a 2. And so on and so forth. So this is just, if you're on a chord, where should I go? I'm on a 3 chord and I think it sounds terrible. Where should I go? The answer is not a 5, like our spinner picked for us, a 3 to a 5. A 3 to a 6 would have sounded a lot better up here at the end of this thing. Right here, a 3 to a 6. I would have much rather seen that move right there. So this is where you can just go in and tweak stuff and just go, all right, never mind. I'm not going to go 3 to 5 to minor 4. I'm going to go 3 to 6 to 5 to minor 4. That works a lot better. Cool. So that 5 right there was really bugging me a whole lot. Then we've got other options here, other ways you can tweak it. If you have a 1 chord coming up, here are the options of chords you would want to play before the 1 chord. So you like the ending chord, you like the 1 chord that you have set up, but everything you tried before it just isn't working. Try one of those. That's going to lead into the 1 chord very well. Same thing for the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the 6 chord. I've listed those for you in order of what is going to be most likely to sound predictable, meaning good. Before those chords come up, the 4, the 5, and the 6 there. And then starting the bridges and pre-choruses on less used chords. So in general, I would, like I said before, stay away from 3s and 2s. Yeah, in general, these are all really general rules, but staying away from 2s and 3s is going to make your song sound a lot more predictable. And then if you wanted to like have a special bridge or something, then you could start that bridge on a 2 chord, and that'd sound really great because you haven't really overused 2s. If you're just using random chords, it's hard to make your bridge feel special because it's just everything is random. The verse is random, the chorus is random. There's just more randomness. Okay, so less used chords for the bridges. If you've got a lot of 2s and 3s in the rest of the song, maybe try starting your bridge like on a 1 or a 5 or a 4 or something that is you haven't used earlier in the song as much. Then extending the ends of verses or choruses, especially bridges by a bar or two. So however, whatever you have in most cases going into that chorus, again, this is all about creating anticipation and then resolving it, creating tension and then resolving that tension. So one way to do that is just extend a section by a couple bars. So if we had, for example, this thing, right, where was it? We had the 5 and it led up to the other thing really well. And I'm just, I'm imagining this bridge right here. So this is a perfect one. So we got a 3 to a 4 to a 4 to a 5. And instead of going to the bridge, what if we just did another couple 5s there? So we got a 3, 4, 4, 5. It's like that. We're just extending that 5 by, I only went 1 bar that time, but you could go 2 bars or 3 bars and create more and more and more anticipation. Think like if you've heard Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, that part where like the whole band is out right before she like changes keys and the part of the song that everybody knows, even if you don't know the song, then everything drops out. It's just all pure anticipation. There aren't even any notes there. Just everyone's waiting for that next note. And then not only does she give you that next note, but they change keys and she sings a higher note than you expected. And it's even more intense and it's wonderful. Okay, cool. So extending any of those sections by a couple bars is going to help create some anticipation. And then your other option is to not even pay attention to what the spinner says, just pay attention to what the bass is doing. If you've got, for example, a 6 chord, I'm going back to the key of C now. If you've got a 6 chord, and let's actually go to the key of C, that might help. So if you've got a 6 chord, and then the next chord that you have is a 4 chord, then it might help to just pay attention to the bass line and go, well, the bass is going from a 6 to a 4. So it might be nice if that bass just passes through that 5 to make that transition a little bit nicer, because even though most people don't notice the bass line of a song, they don't notice the note that the bass is on, it gives a lot of context to the song. So it helps form the way that you feel about the song, even if you don't notice this even there. So trying to write smooth, connected bass lines will help your song feel, again, more predictable. When I go like that anticipation, you can hear already what that next chord is going to be, which is what you're trying to do with your audience, is lead them to where you're going and then go there. And then they'll be so happy that you went exactly where they were wanting you to go, where you told them that they wanted you to go. That's kind of our goal here. So, and then you can also put the chords in that go with the bass line. So you've got a 6 chord and it's going through a 5. Of course, you could, if you wanted to, play the 5 chord. Right? But if you wanted to, you could substitute out one of these other chords. So we've got a 5 in the bass. We don't want to play the 5 just because I don't like the way that sounds. Okay, good enough reason. So I could try a 1 chord instead and play a 1 chord up here when this thing goes to the 5. So 6 chord to a 1 chord while the bass is on the 5 to the 4 chord. So again, the 6. Or we could try the 3 chord right here. Man, okay, so a 3 chord. So we start on the 6. That kind of sounds nice. Yeah. Or you could try a 4 chord. This is not, I don't know, we'll see. It might sound all right, but I don't think it's going to sound super great in this context. No, it's not terrible. So again, try these out. Sometimes they'll work and sometimes they won't. That would work probably the other direction if you're going like from a 4 to a 6 or other things, a 5 to a 1. Things like that. So it just depends on where you're going after that. But there's some other chords you can try out based on what you do with your bass to connect those notes. And then here are some common bass movements. And they're common, but they're also really obvious. They're just like moving really close to wherever you are, going to a nearby note. Just paying attention to your bass and letting your bass move wherever possible by a single step. So And like 75% of you are going, yeah, I've heard that song before. What is that? I don't know. It's just that bass line right there. It's like a trillion songs. It's, for one, it's Piano Man. That thing right there. And it's a bunch of others. If we just throw in a couple other notes, I'm going to play this again. And you go, no, this one, I know this one's a song. It's not a song. Like whatever song you're thinking of is probably that song, but it's also 17 other songs. So that's just because that bass movement is just like, it's wherever your bass is moving smoothly, your audience is also moving smoothly. So paying attention to your bass line can help out your songs a whole lot. It also works the other way, not just going down, but walking out. No, yeah, I've heard that before. Yes, you've definitely heard that before. So then just walking up and down. It's like just the chords all in a row. It's just a bass line that has chords on top of it. So, all right, so enough of that. Smooth bass line is going to help. Now we get into the melody. We've got 15 minutes left. No problem. All I have to do is tell you everything about how to write a good melody and then everything about how to write good lyrics and then write a new song, and then we'll be done 15 minutes from now. 5 minutes each. Okay, sure. Good luck. Let's try it. So the melody, again, we've covered this in the previous 2 lessons too, so you can go back and maybe refer to some of the information I gave you there. But in general, after you've got your chords down and you're playing through this, by the way, some of you start with a melody or you start with lyrics and you don't start with the chords like we're doing for this one. That's perfectly fine. This is just one way. This is the way I would go about writing a song, is picking a good chord progression, because that's the part that I care most about, then writing a good melody on top of that. And last, if I had to, I would write some lyrics and not tell anybody that I had written them and tell them that they were some poem from, I don't know, some poet from, I would have to find the name of a poet. See? That's how much I don't care about the lyrics. So I can't even think of the name of a poet that I would blame my lyrics on. So then the melody, we would just start with a rhythm. So play through all the chords, and then we'll just like pick some type of some rhythm that we could clap or snap, or that we could hum something. So for this thing right here, for that track that we made before, the song. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. That's different, I think, from the rhythm that I picked randomly yesterday and the day before. So it's just picking some rhythm that feels like it fits with what I have already created. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. So I'm going to be playing some notes. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Now the only question is, what notes am I actually going to play? Because I'm not going to play that because that sounds dumb. So then, first rule is kind of stay within a singable range, which means in general, kind of staying on the staff if you know how to read sheet music. If you don't, then that's fine. Just kind of stay within about a 10-note range. Cool. Probably the highest note being like a D or an E. And then down below that, maybe like in this range, that'd be fine to write in there. The highest note being a D or an E, maybe an F. And then kind of down below that into the C-ish range, down on the lower end. And then in general, you want your verses to be lower, and then you want choruses to be higher, because the higher notes are going to have more intensity to them, and so that's going to be better for those high energy parts in the chorus and stuff. So your verse is going to be these notes down here, and your choruses are generally going to be these notes up here. And then you want to make sure that you're playing a chord tone on each of the chord changes, and then you want to connect those tones. I'll tell you what that means in a second. Connect those tones, and then in general, like I said, kind of move up if you want to start creating anticipation and then start moving down when you want to try to resolve that. So the end of your chorus could go down unless you want to end on a really high note, really high intensity, you could do that. But if you're trying to resolve some of that tension, not create more of it, then you in general want to move down, especially to the 1 of the key. If you can land on the 1 of the key, in the case of G, landing, well, it should be in the key of G. There we go. Landing on a G at the end of the song would be super great. And somewhere where you're going to create a lot of anticipation, like towards the end of the verse, you'd want to kind of be in the 5-ish range if you can. So going from the 1 up to the 5 is going to help create anticipation. Resolving from the 5 down to the 1 in general, floating around those notes, not playing directly to either of those, but in general is going to create more resolution. So let me show you what I mean by the chord tones thing, though. So from up above. So I think the rhythm that I had before was da 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 da. Da 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 da, da 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 da. Right. So then, the first chord that we have is in the verse is the 4 chord in the key of G. Hopefully, we all agree on that. So those are the 3 notes that I could possibly use for the melody. So I would da 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 da, or da 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 da, or da 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 da. If I just do that with the track that we already have, then it would be something like this. And here's the 4 again. Now, the problem with that is that right when I get to the end of that thing, 1, 2, da, 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 right there is where the chord is going to change. So that's fine that I'm playing that note, one of the notes out of the 4 chord, but when it changes to the 3 chord, I need to change my note so it now fits into the 3 chord, because that note that I picked before doesn't work on that 3 chord anymore. So if possible, and for a lot of you, you don't have to pay any attention to this at all, because if you just try to sing a melody, your ear's naturally going to do this anyway. It's going to pick notes that aren't not in the chord. It's going to pick notes that are inside of the chord that's going on. So like it takes a lot of self-control to like stay on that note during that section, because naturally my ear wants to go after the intro, the 5 chord to the 6 chord, and then right here. Right? Or here's the 5, and here's that same one again. So my ear kind of like pushes me in the right direction anyway, and in both cases, it was pushing me to one of the notes that's in that 3 chord. I was here, and my ear said, well, you can go to that note, that'd sound good. Or my ear said, you can go to that note, that would sound good. And it was right, because the rule is, in general, try to stay on chord tones. So as the chords are passing by, you want to land mostly on those chord tones. Okay, and then you want to just try to connect those as much as possible. Like I said before, stay in a singable range. And if your singable range is like this set of notes right in here, okay, if that's the range that you're going to write in, and your verse is all going to stay down here, then you're going to have to move almost entirely stepwise. You don't want to make huge leaps from here to here to here to here. It doesn't matter if all of those are chord tones, that just sounds like a terrible melody, because no one can follow that. No one can sing that, because mostly you can sing the note that you're on, or up one note, or down one note. But most people, unless they're professional singers, can't jump around a whole lot. So if you want it to be a singable, predictable melody that people can rock out in their cars with when it comes on the radio, then you want to move mostly stepwise. The next note up or the next note down, and kind of stay on the chord tones as much as possible and connect those all. All right, so those are some general good rules for creating those melodies. And I have also given you spinners on here for the melodies. So if you don't know what note to start on, then you can just start on the nearest one of the chord. So, on this chord, that's the 1, that's the 3, that's the 5. So we play that one. So let's go ahead and do this for the first couple chords. So we had a 4 chord to a 3 chord to a 2 chord. Right? So on the first chord, I'm going to play the nearest 1. So it's that one right there. That's my 4 chord. That's the 1 of the 4 chord. That's my 4 chord. That's the 1, the 3, and the 5 of the 4 chord. Hopefully that made some sense. So we've got the 1. Now, I'm switching to a 3 chord. I don't know what note to go to. I could pick any of those. Which one is the right one? Okay, so then we'll just say, all right, we're going to go to the nearest chord tone. So from here, if I'm on this one, the nearest chord tone would be this one, because to get from here to here, that'd be like 2 half steps. I'd have to pass by a note to get to there. So from there to there is the nearest chord tone. And then we go to a 2 chord after that. I don't know what to do for the next one. So the next nearest chord tone. So then we got that chord right there. We're going to this chord. The nearest chord tone to the one that I was just on is this one right here. So I'm going to go from this one to this one to this one. Well, that's really dorky. Like, it doesn't move at all. It just kind of stays in one spot. Just like every song that you love, if you go to analyze them, they're not jumping around a lot. They are going to stay in a couple note range. And you like it. So it's all right if it doesn't really move at all. So that, with our track after the intro, sounds like this. I've got 7 minutes left. Here we go. So we're going to go from we have the intro. And here we go. So that's just using that random rhythm that I chose before and applying it to what the spinner said I should use, which was the nearest notes over. And then in some cases it'll tell me not to do anything at all, like right there. Thank you, spinner, just like we planned. So in some cases it's going to say, don't worry about doing anything. You don't have to do something on every single measure, on every single chord. Sometimes you just want space. A lot of times you just want space. So don't play notes through the whole entire thing. The no good melody sounds like that. There's lots of space in all of them. So then you can, don't forget to repeat some phrases, add some more space in where you already have notes, and then some melodic suspension on chord changes. So like what I did there, where right on the 3 chord, I didn't go immediately to that one. I played a note first and then fell down into that one, because again, that is creating a little bit of tension and then resolving it, which is kind of our only job here, is to create that tension and then resolve it. So we'd have a 4 chord. Oh no, I'm outside of the chord. Now I'm not. That's that resolution from that tension. So a little bit of melodic suspension on chord changes can help. Now, lyrics. I've got 5 minutes to tell you about lyrics, which is perfect because I hate this topic. But I know a lot of you want to write lyrics, and I have probably read a lot more books on this than you have. So here's what I've gotten out of those books, and from, I guess, people that I know too, who I've talked to about this on your behalf. So writing things that you know, from topics that you know and care about, not writing about some other thing that you think makes a really great story but hasn't happened to you. And then, like we talked about before, in the same way, the melody and the chords, we want to create tension in the verse and then resolve that in the chorus. Same thing with the lyrics. So a lot of times the chorus is a repeating set of lyrics, one solution that is a solution for multiple problems, each of the verses being a different problem, all resolved lyrically with that same solution in the chorus. Or at least some kind of relationship between the verses and the choruses in that way, even if you're not doing that particular method of having one solution for all the different problems. Then using rhyming dictionaries, I've got probably equal advice on both sides of don't worry about rhyming. It's stupid. It's just a trick to prop up terrible writing, and that it's one of the most natural and compelling devices that you could use in lyric writing. So make sure that you follow some rhyming pattern. I don't know which the right one is, but if you're going to rhyme, know that there are rhyming dictionaries out there where you can type in any word and it will tell you all the words in your language that rhyme with that word. It will give you hopefully some more diversity in your rhyming. And then universal specificity. So this is writing especially about those things that you feel or that you experience and you wonder if anyone else in the universe experiences them. The answer is almost always yes. Everybody feels that way, but they're all wondering if everybody else feels that way too. And if you can write a song about that, then you're likely to touch a chord with somebody else and go, yes, me and this one other person who wrote the song feel the same exact way. And they'll latch on emotionally to your lyrics, perhaps. Then using a lot of nature in your analogies is good. And then making sure that you imply things more than explicitly state them. So think of yourself as more painting the picture of the setting than explicitly saying things about, saying I'm in love or I feel sad or any of those like direct, like here's what it is, describing what it is like to feel sad without actually saying that you feel sad, and people will kind of go with you there. So writing the context of the experience. Then showing action, show action. Sure. Writing more context. So after you feel like you've painted enough context and you didn't explicitly say that one thing, then go through and see what else you can not explicitly say and what else you can imply with the context. And then for good practice, try taking a song that you already like, pretending that there is a verse that is missing at the end of the song, and then trying to use the same melody, the same chords, but write your own lyrics to that missing verse just as practice. Or you can go to this link that I've given you here, which is kind of that same thing. They'll give you like an artist. They'll give you Garth Brooks or Taylor Swift or someone, and then you can like type in what you want that song to be written about, and it will give you kind of based on like the same thing we did with the chords here, where I just like have you plug in chords and bam, now you've got a song. It'll do the same thing. You can type in some lyrics and then it'll like put it all in the right place and write you a song in that person's style. And that's kind of interesting to see how all of those patterns play out, and will hopefully help you find some patterns of your own. And then making sure that if you have a word that has an accented syllable, that syllable, the lyric, lines up with the accented note, usually the highest note of the phrase that you're trying to match the lyrics with the melody on. Okay, enough of that. I have 1 minute. Oh, perfect. No problem. I have 1 minute to write a song. I'm going to go through here and, as quick as possible, I'm going to pick a key, pick a time signature, pick a tempo, pick a feel, pick an intro, pick a verse, pick a pre-chorus, pick a chorus, pick a bridge, pick an outro, and I'm going to go ahead and write these in myself. So I've got 115, 4/4 in the key of E, 115, 4/4 in the key of E. Verse is going to be 8 bars. Pre-chorus is going to be 2. Chorus is going to be 2. I got to take that 2 out of there. That's terrible. I'm going to do the chorus of 4 anyway. So I've got 8 and then 2 and then 4 and then a bridge of 4. Okay, so back to our sheet here. I've got an intro. Oh, man. Come on, Jamie. You got to go faster than this. The intro is 2. The verse is 8. That's that. Is it my verse? Nope, I already did that. Verse is going to be 8. That's my verse right there. Okay, then my pre-chorus is 2. So I'm going to take that out. Here's my pre-chorus. And then here's my chorus of 4, even though it told me 2. Sorry, that 2 shouldn't be in there. And then a bridge of 4, and then the outro of 4. Bridge, I'm going to go chorus, and then outro of 4. So for my intro, I'm going to use a 4 and then a 5. Here I'm going to use a 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 5. This is going to be 5/7. This is just paying attention to that bass line because I got to go quick here. I could use the spinner to go through all this. But then I've got a pre-chorus of, I'm going to go 2, 3. My chorus is going to go 4, 3, 4, 5. Trying to pick randomly. Then my bridge is going to be something I haven't really used a whole lot yet, which would be equally 6 and 2. I'm going to go ahead and throw a 6 in there. And I'm going to go a 5, and then a 4, and then a 5. My chorus again was 4, 3, 4, 5, and my outro is going to be a 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, here we go. This is at the tempo of 115 in the key of G. Tempo 115. Sounds like this. Here we go, in the key of G. My chorus to the 4, 5, 6 bridge, 4, So that is my 1 minute song. I guess that's it. So if you have any questions, which you might, I think I might have some questions, then let me know and send me. You can contact me through the website or through any of these, whatever platform you're on that you're watching this. So